Not one, not two, not three, 4 commits to talk since the last show. Hurricanes Live right here at the Voice of College Football. Cam Underwood's here, of course, to break it all down for us. State of the U is the destination when you're not here for the 1 hour on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time with myself and with Cam. Sir, how are we doing tonight?
Good. Sorry, I was just adding a quote tweet to the tweet so I could put it out to the people that we are here and we are talking. And yeah, so we're good. Obviously, yeah. Hi, my name's Cam Underwood, State of the U, managing editor, have been for a while now. But yeah, if you're new, welcome. If you're a returning person, great. Glad to have you. Good to see you. And yeah, we have we're starting to get some of that movement on the trail that we've been talking about. And remember, I said I was not going to put an artificial timer on it because last year I said by July 1st, and that didn't happen, but like July 5th through 10th. But, you're seeing all that. But yeah, I mean, you're seeing some commitments and things, popping up, and we have 4 new ones to talk about.
You just retweeted what I tweeted, which turned out to be a mistweet because I said 3 commits on my tweet just a couple minutes ago, and lo and behold, bam, a very familiar name, not the basketball great from Indiana and the Detroit Pistons, but safety Isaiah Thomas, who hails from Clearwater Academy International.
Yeah, actually, he is a Toronto native. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So shout out to my guy, Matt Washington, former contributor of State of the U, who is from Toronto, the 6 up there. A good 3.5-hour drive from Detroit. So I've been there plenty of times. My senior year high school girlfriend was from Mississauga, which is right outside of Toronto. Random, but hey, why not? Anyway, so yeah, that's why he's at the International Academy, because he is an international student from who hails from there. I saw that he held up the Ghanaian flag of Ghana with the black star in the middle with Jamila Dye the other day and went on his unofficial visit to Miami. So I believe that is a ancestry that they share. But yeah, this is the newest commit, Isaiah with the 2 A's in there, spelled the same as like Isaiah Wong, the star basketball player from Miami, who's now going to the NBA draft. But 6'2", 205. He is more of a strong safety, star backer kind of a guy. I wrote it in the Welcome to the U piece, but you remember that striker position that Miami employed under, that was the brainchild of John Patke, employed by Manny Diaz, and that's coming back in some form or nomenclature under Lance Guidry. This is your striker of the future. Yeah, I mean, if you watch the huddle, which I was watching as I embedded it in the thing, I mean, he looks like he has good size to him in pads already. So, I mean, as a listed 205, I could see him getting up to, 215, 220, hopefully keeping his athleticism and everything. And then that would be advantageous for everybody. Isaiah had 27 tackles and 1 interception as a junior last year, but he did miss the second half of the season with a torn ACL. So he is working his way back from that. Hopefully he will continue his strong play as a senior for Clearwater Academy International. And that is the actual order, not International Academy. I don't know what, hey, whatever. But that is the actual name in the actual order of that school. And then he will make his way downtown to Coral Gables. So he was saying, he was 100% locked in with Miami and had plenty of other options. Florida State, Florida, Rutgers was up there, obviously being from, Canada, in which, is kind of regional for them, in the Toronto area. They're not over there on the West Coast. That would be, like a Vancouver, a Calgary, something way out there, Moose Jaw. That's way far west, but no, he's, on the eastern side or from the eastern side of Canada, as it were. So, yeah, he had plenty of options, including plenty of, big name schools. So, yeah, this is another case, and we're going to talk about this many a time here tonight, where this staff had their evaluative process. They trusted that process. They went after a guy based on that process and got a commitment based on that process. Is it the blue chip star rating player that, everybody might have wanted necessarily? No, but if he fits what we do and how we want to do it, that's fine. And, if you go back to the Butch Davis days, that was the thing. He was talking about, we're going to evaluate Miami guys and get the guys that we want, right? So I get where some people might say, Miami's doing a whole bunch of, 3-star fishing. They're not going after any, blue chips or whatnot. You have to balance it with star hunting, the elite, your Jeremiah Smiths, your Aaron Nolans, your 4-star, 5-star household names in the world of recruiting. But also, if they fit, because everybody wants them, so most of those guys are going to fit. But all these kind of players, these 3 stars, with projection who fit your culture and what you want to do, you have to trust your evaluative process as well. So that is where Miami is. And with a lot of these recruits, I do think that several of these could see bumps in their rating as we go through their senior years. And I think that Thomas, with his size, especially if he plays to the level that he had been playing and extrapolate that through a full senior season, could be one of those guys. But yeah, he's the latest as of literally 7 o'clock when he made his announcement on social media, player to commit to this class.
61st rated safety in the nation, according to 247 Sports, and number 84 in Florida, 6'2", 205. Cam, what do you say we pick these off chronologically in reverse order?
Works for me.
Here we go. From Isaiah Thomas, we go to Juan Minaya.
Mm-hmm.
And Juan Minaya is an offensive tackle at 6'6", 335 out of New Jersey.
Yeah, Paramus Catholic from Paramus, New Jersey. So shout out to Al Golden, who, obviously was from there and recruited up there. But yeah, Minaya is a big kid. I've seen him listed at 315, 330, and 335. So regardless, he's 315 plus, big dancing bear kind of a guy. Has good feet, has a basketball background as well. He's young for his grade. So he's 16 currently. So he will turn 17 or be 17 in his senior year and 17 turning 18 as a freshman in college in 2 years. So, the addition of youth to his already large frame is great. He projects probably to be an interior lineman, so probably at a guard moving forward. But this is a kid who his bench press numbers rival current NFL draft combine guys for this current draft. We're talking mid upper 20s, putting up 225. That's substantial. And this is another guy who, like Frankie Tinalau in last year's class, the native New Zealander who moved to Miami, and then now he's on the Canes roster. I think that his brightest days are ahead of him. And, the additional thing here is his incredible youth relative to peers. You know what I mean? Like, most kids who were 16 are like sophomores playing JV varsity-ish. This is a kid who's a junior, a current junior, rising senior at 16 with that size, playing up already on varsity and starting at tackle. But yeah, for us, he's probably going to move inside. He does have the height and length to stay outside. I think that at that side, that bulk and everything, he fits more the profile of somebody on the interior of the line. But again, this is a guy who, Miami went after strongly. This is Cristobal. This is Mirabal. This is what they do. One is a former national championship offensive lineman and offensive line coach. The other is his best friend and the current offensive line coach, like specific position coach. This is what they do. They look at the guys that they want. They pretty much go and get them, including you're going to get some guys who are developmental. And that's really key, because if you look back, and I personally like to talk about Wisconsin when talking about offensive line, because it's so easy to see with them, because their offensive line, through the whole, last 40 years has consistently been great, but it's been few times and far between that you get a guy who plugs in day one and starts. Usually these are guys who develop over time. They, and then they're nameless and faceless, but they're all third-year sophomores, fourth-year juniors, fifth-year seniors who are 6'6", 340, and they're incredible at what they do, but it takes time. And Wisconsin intentionally gets the guys, with very few exceptions. They rarely get 4- and 5-star offensive linemen, but they get guys and they develop them over time. When you're looking at a Frankie Tinalau, when you're looking at a Juan Minaya, that's the paradigm here. Is yes, they have the size already. They are, they are big enough, but there's something about them. Clearly, it's not his strength, because he's putting up, in the 20s on 225, but maybe it's that functional strength, maybe it's his hand placement, maybe it's transitioning him from tackle to guard at college, maybe these things. But you have guys who the plan is not to play day one, the plan is to play year 3, 4, and 5 and be really good, grown men, along the line at that time. And it does take time to get that grown man strength. And we want the Francis Mauigoas, who's probably going to start as a true freshman, but you also need these kind of guys who have size and a developmental path moving forward. And I think that's a good take with Juan Minaya.
We go back to the Florida high school football ranks, and at running back, Chris Wheatley-Humphrey.
Yeah. The word here is speed. I mean, this is a kid who had over 1,100 yards on 17 a carry in 7 games. I mean, he is. I'm pretty sure that before he was at South Broward, he was at Dillard 2 years ago. I swear this is the same kid, because they had the 2 running backs at the time. Chris Johnson, who signed with Miami, and then this year, and I think it was Johnson and Wheatley both 2 years ago, which is, like a track relay team, like that Deerfield Beach team years ago that had like Denard Robinson, Adrian Whitty, Cassius McDowell, and Dante Dotson on it. They just had elite speed after elite speed after elite speed. But this is a kid who is just, lightning in a bottle. If you're talking about the speed, we're talking about speed like Jalen Knighton or faster. This is a kid who can score anytime he touches the ball from anywhere on the field. And if you watch his huddle highlights, South Broward's not great. South Broward will never be really great at football. South Broward's never really been great. They've had a couple players here and there and everything, but they're not like a powerhouse. Even after all this time that I've been here in South Florida and have gotten, familiar with and accustomed to the landscape. But this is a kid who just watch the huddle, bro. He's one cut and go. He dances a little bit from time to time, but he knows when he puts that foot in the ground and gets vertical up the field, it's out of there. Like, he is gone. So, if you're talking about having that home run threat, you can put him back there to return kicks, punts, in the offense. If obviously from the spring game, we want to run some horizontal things like those touch passes and those jet sweeps and out of to get people moving and find a crease and get up the field and things like that. But Chris Wheatley-Humphrey is an electric speedster. Just speed on top of speed on top of speed. I think that this is a really great take. I think that, Miami is probably going to look at 2 running backs in this class, but you'd be hard pressed to find. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He can run inside. He does run inside, and he's not always find the sideline and go. He will cut it up between the tackles. If you have a stretch play or something, if you're running inside zone, he'll be in there. Outside zone, he'll cut it back, towards the inside, if the defenders try to jump outside and things like that. But regardless of where he goes with the ball, he's one of the fastest, if not the fastest kid on the field.
If you thought you heard Kevin Hart, you actually did. I was trying to pull up the statistics on Max Preps, but I got an earful of Kevin Hart, as you all did as well, so couldn't go to that window. But what we cannot show you graphically, as Cam basically outlined, 70 carries, 1,166 yards. For you stats geeks that are into like interesting, strange, odd statistics, you don't see those 2 numbers together. Plus 1,000 yards, minus 100 carries. Those just don't go together. And we're talking about only 70 carries, 16.7 yards per carry, 167 yards per game, 6 touchdowns, make that 8 touchdowns, and 11 on his career after 62 carries at 7 yards a clip the previous year as a sophomore.
Bang. So, 11 yards as a sophomore, 17 as a junior. And again, if you watch the huddle, and again, you can go to stateoftheu.com because I've written welcome to the U pieces for all of these guys. Just go scroll down towards the bottom where I say, to get a better look at the player that Mike was getting here, please look at the huddle highlights, which are embedded right there. All you got to do is go to the State of the U and then click the video. You don't got to go anywhere else. I do the work for you. You're welcome. But just watch a play, 2 plays, 3 plays, 4. I don't really care. But you're going to see, even when other fast South Florida kids have the angle on Wheatley-Humphrey, they don't. That's the kind of speed we're talking about.
A second safety committed this week, and he is one Dylan Day out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, Southern Lab School. So that's the Southern University's proprietary teaching school that's right there on the campus of Southern. Excuse me. There, but yeah, this is a kid who we really like. Lance Guidry is from Louisiana, so he has familiarity. He was actually one of the first teams to offer Day when he was at Marshall before he went to where'd he go? Tulane and then Miami. So one of the first kids. Or one of the first teams to offer him, and then kept that connection and everything. But yeah, a little bit smaller than Zay Thomas, but 5'11", 165. Obviously, he's a little bit lithe, but he can play inside. He can play that free safety, that kind of nickel. He can play even maybe moonlight at outside cornerback. But this is another guy who just had a lot of different offers from a lot of different places. Recruitment is really starting to pick up for him, and Miami did the evaluation, got in there early. Obviously, being in Louisiana, you want to see the LSU offer, because the LSU offer is the main stamp of approval of all of the in-state talent, because Louisiana does incredible in terms of the number of prospects per capita and everything. So I believe that offer, if it's not on the list now, I believe that they were doing some evaluation. I foresee it coming. I foresee, he had a big year as a junior, and a lot of interest picking up in this calendar year of 2023, and I don't think that that's going to stop. So another early eval. I think that this is a good take, and I think that this is all these guys that we're getting in this class. You had to put all the pieces together to get the whole mosaic of the class. You know what I mean? And I think that this is another guy who could see his ranking increase through his senior year. Excuse me. Now that he's kind of on the radar for the recruiting services and things like that. But yeah, I think this is another good take. Decent size, good speed, and versatility in the secondary. So good on Lance Guidry, good on the Canes for dipping into Louisiana. And you're seeing obviously with the last couple, you have a Toronto native who's playing in Clearwater Academy International. I want the order of that to be different, but whatever. A guy from Louisiana and a guy from New Jersey. So we are taking the local approach, obviously. And I mean, obviously, then you have South Broward, which is in Hollywood, South Broward County. But yeah, we're taking the local approach and going after guys locally who we want and need, but also not being tied to that and going and getting guys from other places as well.
The first of the week, the gem of the week, when you look at the rankings, of course, in wide receiver, Chance Robinson from St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's the highest rated recruit in this class at present. Chance Robinson, you see the numbers there. He's top 135 in the country, top 25 in the state of Florida, 6'2", 190. So he's got big size to him. And yeah, really explosive receiver. He's a guy who waited his turn at Aquinas, playing JV and then varsity, but didn't even really record. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 catches as a sophomore, because Aquinas has a stable of guys every year. And sometimes, you got to have a really good player who is going to wait his turn, and he did. And then he had, 15 touchdowns on 26 catches?
29 for 13.
Sorry, yeah, there we go. 13 touchdowns on 29 receptions as a junior. That's pretty damn good, guys. I made the analogy just because thinking back to my own personal history with recruiting. Ivan McCartney, who ended up as a U.S. Army All-American when I was at Miramar, he had 11 touchdowns on 15 catches as a sophomore. But and he was the number 5 receiver for Geno Smith. It's because it was Geno, Stedman, Terrence Gordine. There's a couple other guys who went, to HBCUs and other schools, but it was okay, cool. And then he started as number 6. He ended up as the number 4 receiver, but 11 touchdowns on 15 catches, I believe it was. So just seeing that outsized kind of number, that's Chance Robinson, but hey, he's faster than you think for being a big guy, and he will take a short pass and go the long way. So yeah, I mean, he has the size that we're looking for. I think that he, is he's up there in terms of the wide receiver recruits that Miami's gotten recently. I said, is he the best receiver recruit since Amon Richards? And I mean, you can put Ray Joseph up there, but Ray is 5'9", 5'10", and more of a slot. But I mean, he has that electric speed. But even with a Brashard Smith, even with these other guys, I mean, Chance Robinson is in that conversation for best wide receiver commitment to Miami since Amon Richards in 2013. I want to say that, so in the last decade. But he has all kinds of talent. He has great size. He can play the X or the Z, be the big receiver. I saw, I think on his 247 page, they're saying he's probably the number 2 receiver on a great college offense. If you get a JoJo Trader, Jeremiah Smith, a transformational kind of talent in front of him, then he can be a really great number 2. But I mean, I think he can even profile eventually down the line as a number 1, just depending on what the roster is looking like. But I mean, yeah, he applies this trade at St. Thomas Aquinas. Obviously, their coaching is bar none. One of the preeminent programs in the world of high school football. A legacy program here in Fort Lauderdale and across the country. Just really a standout player on that team. One of the leaders of that team will probably be, team captain leading Aquinas into his senior year and everything. So, just a really good get, high blue chip guy that everybody, and their mama wanted and everything. So we're like, hey, Mario's doing this value shopping. He's, going to Walmart and getting the great value versions of the recruits that we want. Hey, we went to, insert your favorite store here and got the name brand. We went to Foot Locker and got the Nikes off the rack. You know what I mean? With Chance Robinson, there was no discount shopping or, trying to bargain hunt here. We went and we got a name brand player from a name brand team and a name brand program to come down to Coral Gables and everything. So yeah, you should be very excited about that. I think that obviously he's going to continue to grow and develop through his senior season next year. But I will put this out there because I know that people always think about these things when you're talking about recruiting. I believe for both Minaya and because it's a parochial school. And I know for a fact for Chance Robinson, if he stays at Aquinas, he will not be able to early enroll because they have the religion class, which is completed through the senior year. And there's a second semester component that that's not I can take it online or do it early. Like they are, an archdiocese and, parochial school. You have to be there and do that. That's why Xavier Restrepo left from Aquinas, transferred to Deerfield for his senior year so he could enroll early. So if Chance does not make a similar kind of move, then he will not be an early enrollee. And I just want to get that out there because obviously everyone's think, okay, we got these guys, we signed these guys, we're going to sign them in December, they're going to be here in January. If he stays at Aquinas, that will not be the case. But yet and still, this is a good get, this is a great player, you should be excited.
Today is April 19th. So if you go back to last Wednesday, that would be April 12th. I opened the show by stating 4 commits for the week. Isaiah Thomas on the 19th, Juan Minaya on the 18th, Chris Wheatley-Humphrey on the 17th, Dylan Day on the 16th, Chance Robinson on the 14th. 5 commits on the week.
Yeah. So, 5 in the week and 4 the last 4 days. So, I've just been pumping out these welcome to the U pieces because it's just every day after day after day after day. I mean, a lot of good things. And, you're starting to bear the fruit that's been planted. You know what I mean? Like we're doing all these, visit days and, evaluations and things like that. And, having all these guys down for, spring practices and the spring game, and all these different kind of things. And you're starting to see tangible results on the trail. But, very excited for that. And we'll see where this continues to go.
Appreciate you all being here at the Voice of College Football every Wednesday night with Cam. State of the U is the destination for Cam and the rest of the crew there on SB Nation. It's stateoftheu.com. It's Canes Live every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Make it back next week. When you miss a few minutes, you can always catch the replay and catch wherever in the show you would like to track. Leroy the Black Ninja Turtle, thank you so much for the contribution. So, Cam, looks like Donald Chaney may not be a myth.
Hey man, he played well in the spring game. He had that debatable run, because in the second half they went to thud, so they didn't tackle to the ground. So I tweeted it because I didn't see the thud. I was looking for it, but I didn't see it, and they didn't call it. But he broke one on inside zone up the middle for what looked to be a touchdown. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, coming back. And I'm like, I saw that defender. That defender looked like he was still a gap away and kind of sort of motioning like he was, playing tag on the hindquarters, as it were, but it looked like he was not there. I mean, but even if it would have been interesting to see how that play would have gone if they were tackling full to the ground, because like that defender had work to do, but Chaney made some plays, man. And if he can stay healthy and he continue to be the player that we've seen spurts of in high school and college, that would be a really, really big addition to this team. I still think that there's maybe some help needed at running back, whether that's Mark Fletcher, whether that's Trevante Citizen, who I'm still very excited about, whether it's a transfer portal person or whatever, but I would still like to just get a little bit more depth. I mean, and Terrell Walden, like his father was my freshman brother, I believe, at the University of Miami back in 2000. But Terrell Walden II is a walk-on for a reason. Like, I mean, yeah, at the end of a blowout, sure, here and there, but like being like a foundational player in the offense, respectfully, I don't see it. I think that if Don Chaney can continue to be a real person and not the legendary myth, that would be good for everybody. But I did like what I saw out of him on last week Friday night.
Mark Perry, thank you so much for being here. Hashtag Live Squad. Hit that like, y'all. Thanks again for the great content, Mark and Cam. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we had so many commits flying in. We are 26 minutes deep, and we have yet to hit the spring game.
Yeah.
So, in addition to one Don Chaney, I tell you, I was watching the spring game. I was taking calls. I was on here at the same time, and I got to say that I don't even recall anything from the spring game. It's such a blur. That was last Friday night.
Right.
So, what are your other takeaways?
In general, I think that we're in a better place schematically on both offense and defense. I think that we have, the players who are the scheme to fit the players instead of guys just doing kind of what they've always done or the way that they wanted to do it, kind of irrespective of the talent on the field. Like, oh, well, I've, Kevin Steele, well, I've coached in the program and all the things like that. And just, we're giving up big play after big play. And then, he wants to scream at journalists in post-game availabilities, which he did last year after Middle Tennessee to a friend of mine, which was eye-opening. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God. But I think that schematically we're in a better place than we were. Obviously, you want to just be healthy. So there were no injuries during the game. There was a laundry list. There was a CVS receipts worth of scratches from the game. Guys who got dinged up or were recovering from procedures over the winter or earlier in the spring and things like that. So, we were a little bit threadbare, so you weren't able to get the whole depth chart kind of seen on the field, but that was interesting. I thought Tyler Van Dyke looked good. I thought there was still room for growth, though. The offensive line didn't necessarily do him any favors, but then, you're missing your starting guards both on that day. Anez Cooper and Jalen Rivers is playing tackle. So you're playing second, third stringers, at guard on first team offensive line, and going up against our first team defensive line, that's not going to be great. And it wasn't. So, there was that. The Xavier Restrepo, set it and forget it. Super consistent, really clean with his routes and performance and everything. Even went to go break up it would have been erstwhile interception, which was, just showing his great awareness. Had some injuries at tight ends, but Jaleel Skinner continues to flash his incredible talent. He needs to continue to gain weight there. Ray Joseph really put on the show in the second half there, scoring that last touchdown, that 79-yarder, 80-yarder, whatever it was, showing his electric speed. So I expect him to be on the field a lot this fall. Francisco Mauagoa, so the brother, the linebacker, middle linebacker, day one, starting, set it and forget it. I don't want to hear anything about, I'm not even going to name any other names, but number 51 on defense needs to start at middle backer, period. Like, I mean, look, he started at Wazoo for a couple years, or, he played heavy rotation snaps. So I thought, okay, this is a guy, man, he got out there. I don't need to see anything else. This is not a conversation for me. That job is, I'm going to call this settled science. You know what I mean? Like, 9.81 meters per second squared. That is the acceleration of gravity. Number 51, Francisco Mauigoa being the starting middle backer. Boom, set it, forget it. That is done. Etched in stone. We are not having a conversation about that. I thought he was really, really, really incredible and a big upgrade from what we've seen. So that was one thing. Nigel Kelly, I think that he is primed to maybe take, capital letters of the leap at defensive end. I saw like David Lake from 247 has Jafari Harvey still is the starter at defensive end with Nigel behind him. And I know Jafari was injured in the spring, but after what I saw, I don't even know that he lasts the season as the starter and keeping number 9 on the bench. Like, this is a kid who, again, young for his grade or age or, level or whatever you want to call it now. But I mean, this is a kid who just oozes talent. And I mean, he looks like he's putting it together with Jason Taylor coaching him now. Really, really great. Ruben Bain is going to be a problem. He's not going to start. I know I saw a lot of people saying that he's not going to start as a true freshman, but he will play both end and tackle this year. He's going to play plenty of snaps. This is a kid who you're not going to be able to keep off the field. 3 sacks, 2 pressures in the game. I know he's working against, unless Miami has like the number 1 offensive line fully there, he's working against somebody that he's going to abuse. That's just it. Like any second teamer, at any position or whatever. And again, you're playing 2 second teamers at guard on the starting offensive line with the ones. And yeah, even with the ones, with the 2s at guard, I mean, it was stupid. It was stupid. So yeah, this is a guy, I think he's wearing number 44, but Ruben Bain, Hurricane is his nickname. Learn it, love it, remember it, because you'll be saying it this fall. Cam Kinchins is just Cam Kinchins, so there's that. Jacoby George, I thought, he had a great touchdown catch from Tyler in the corner of the end zone. Very excited about that. Colby Young needs to be a little bit more consistent, but I can see where he slimmed down, and people are talking about him maybe taking a step forward. I don't think he's going to be like, first team All-American or anything, but I think he can still take a big step forward. But I think we still do need somebody at a wide receiver overall. Borregales is great. Punting needs work. Will Hutchinson shanked every punt of his, and Dylan Joyce, the Australian, he performed better. So I think that, if you're thinking, it's going to be Will Hutchinson at punter this fall, not from what I saw. So that's a position that's definitely up for grabs, because we need the consistent performance. I don't really care whether it's 94 or 97 at punter, whether, Hutchinson or Joyce, those are their numbers. I don't care which one. I just know that what I saw from Will Hutchinson on his first 2 punts is not acceptable for what we need on the field and what we've had with Lou Headley, who's been one of the best punters, for the last, million years. The last thing I'll say is about the backup quarterbacks or the non-Tyler quarterbacks, I'll call it. Emory Williams did have a better game than did Jacurri Brown. For sure. He had that last touchdown to Ray Joseph and things like that. He's a true freshman. I don't think that he's going to step into the backup role right now, but seeing some of the throws that were made, both caught and incomplete, does give me a good view for Emory Williams' future here. If he can continue to develop, I think he can be a player down the line. Jacurri had the worst day that he'd had by all accounts all spring, and it was pretty bad. We're seeing these clips and snippets from practice, people who've been there, talking about his improvement, coaches talking about his improvement. He's talking about his improvement. And we're seeing all those things. And then it got to pseudo live action, and that did not translate over at all. He's throwing grounders. He's missing guys. His footwork was a mess, and he still wants to run. And I said, look, he needs to be put on a no-run program, because you're not playing live, so you're not tackling quarterbacks to the ground. We know you can run, right? I was on here last year saying, hey, we need to go to the UPS Express. What can Brown do for you? Single wing, whatever program package. We know you can do that. I don't care about, especially in spring. Bro, they're going to blow it dead after 10 yards anyway, because they're going to part the Red Sea because you're a quarterback wearing the black jersey. Nobody's going to touch you. I don't care about that. I know you can do that, right? So what I need you to do is what you have not been shown a great propensity to do. I need you to sit there in that pocket, maneuver that pocket, and throw the ball accurately, on time with the appropriate touch or velocity or combination of both. That's what you need. I don't want to see you running the ball no more in a practice situation at all. Honestly, it's like, which Rocky was that? When Mickey tied his arm down and he made him throw 8 million jabs until his arm almost fell off. Said, yeah, I know you want to use that right. I know you want to come in with that hook. I'm using duct tape. I'm putting it on your side. You cannot use that. Do this other thing, and you're going to find out why later. It's going to be beneficial for you. That similar kind of a thing is Jacurri. You cannot run. You cannot run. Period. Because I know you can do, and you're gonna use that as a crutch. If your processing is a little slow, if you're looking one way and you read your 1 and 2, and then somebody flashes over there who you didn't think was supposed to be there, you feel a breath on your neck from 5 miles away or something. The first thing you're gonna do is run. I don't care. Because that's not always going to be your option. And sometimes, and look, there have been plenty, I was charting third downs until the season fell apart and I stopped it. I was like, we're not going to do this because like this team, after the Middle Tennessee loss, I literally had this document on my computer that said, I'm not charting third downs anymore. I don't care. But you're going to come to a 3rd and 9. And, oh, my phone's outside. Wow. But you're going to come to a 3rd and 9 and you're going to have to hit that throw. They're going to rush 2, they're going to drop 9, rush 3, drop 8. They're going to give you a zone blitz. They're going to something. And you're going to have to sit there, stand there, figure it out, and hit that throw. And what you're not doing to help yourself along that path is running in practice or a spring game when they can't even fucking tackle you. And you're the biggest, baddest dude, 6'5", up to 25 or 30. Look, we already talked about, he has his shoulders out to here. He's yoked up. You can see the traps. You can see the pipes. His arms. Cool. You are big, fast, and strong. I don't care. Sit your happy ass in the pocket and throw the ball, even if you miss it. And look, you have to go through that. Growth happens when you're uncomfortable, right? I know that you would rather do this other thing. If you remember way back in the beginning of his career, Kobe Bryant famously shot air balls at the end of a game and they lost, right? And he said, hey, I got to take those, right? Because you cannot be scared to take them now because the moment's going to come where I have to take that and I have to make that. So even if I miss it, even if I airball it now, I need to go through that painfulness of airballing in the playoffs to learn how to go through that and how to make those shots, turn those from, oh my God, what is he doing, into dagger after dagger after dagger. That's what he told Dwight Howard about shooting free throws. He said, just go shoot them. Shoot them 1,000 a day, because you have to be willing to take that shot. It cannot be, okay, they're doing hack it Dwight, and then I can't, and then, oh my God, and you've shot it 1 billion times. Make it or miss it, but you need to do it to get to the level of comfort and performance that will be beneficial for all of us. That is Jacurri and throwing the ball. I do put that man in cement shoes like it's a mob movie. Stick him at the 20-yard line and do whatever techniques you want to do. But I don't want to see him run because we know he can do that. And look, and how do you have the strongest arm out of any of the quarterbacks, but you're throwing grounders on 5 yards out? How? Well, I'm falling away and my footwork isn't right. And so then what are we doing? But then instead of, okay, we're going to continue to do this and work it out, we're going to run when we call the pass play. Absolutely not. I don't want to see it. So I was very disappointed in his performance. I think he would say he was disappointed in his performance, but it was quite poor. And by all accounts, it was the worst day he's had all spring. But that almost brings in a little bit of curiosity for me, because why? And also I'm not sure that I believe them, because I've been hearing all these great things, and then all of a sudden the lights go on and they weren't even fully on, and then this is what we got. Yikes, bro.
Exhaustively and beautifully stated there. I wish I could add something to that. The only thing I would is that, I'm not taking anything away from these running quarterbacks in these spring games, because it's the most useless play to try to evaluate, because a fingernail brings them down. And, a fingernail on a cleat brings them down, and we can't really evaluate what would have happened there. So if Jacurri Brown sees wide open green grass. Well, we know he can take it for 40 yards and throw his shoulder into a safety. And then if he takes off, and we don't know if that would have been a successful run because there's a defender there, but he can't do anything about it, then we can't evaluate that anyway. So yeah, sit him down in the pocket, and yeah, you stated it. That's force him to have to make difficult decisions, game type decisions, and show if he can make the throw. And if he can't make it the first time, the second time, the third time, the seventh time, maybe he'll make it the eighth time. And then maybe he'll make a better decision the next time. But if he keeps running the ball, we don't know what kind of decision, and he doesn't know what kind of decision he will make downfield.
Right. And I mean, look, you have all different kinds of throws. So he makes that one is okay. Well, I put that on the line, but that guy gets there. So now I'm going to learn how to, anticipate that, or I'm going to learn how to put touch on that, or all different kind of things. But yeah, anyways, that was my soliloquy on that. But yeah, he needs to, I don't want to see him run in a practice setting or a scrimmage setting, because we know he can do that. I need to see him do the thing, that he has not shown a propensity or a great skill at doing, and that's throwing the ball.
Marcus is asking about James Madison. He is the other Fort Lauderdale St. Thomas Aquinas receiver. He's number 47 in the nation, number 43 in Florida.
Yeah, he's a bigger kid. He's 6'3", 190, so just a little bit taller, a little bit lankier. Like Chance is a little bit more yoked up than James Madison. James has, he has a Florida State offer from Ron Dugans. He has an Alabama offer from Travaris Robinson, and things like that. So this is a kid who's on the radar for high, major Power 5 teams. We'll see where Miami goes in terms of the other receivers, the portal, and in recruiting. But James Madison III from St. Thomas Aquinas, the teammate of Chance Robinson, is a name to know. Not 100% sure exactly our connection there or desire to kind of push forward. But he's a name to know on the board in general.
As you talked more and more about the spring game, even though I said it was a blur from last Friday night, it was starting to bring back some memories. And yes, TVD basically brought rain on that touchdown pass to Colby Young, but that was a thing of beauty. He dropped it right in the bucket in the corner of the end zone. And when I saw Mauagoa make a play on defense, for like 8 seconds, I was confused, because I think the offensive lineman, the top guy, and I'm like, and then I was like, whoa. Yes, Cam, Washington State. Yeah, that guy.
The brother, yeah.
Okay, the brother. So he can play.
Yeah. So, and it was Jacoby George on the touchdown. Colby Young had a couple jump balls that he was not able to bring in. One of them was just a really, really great play where the defender got his hand in between his two hands trying to catch the ball. The other one hit both of his hands before he got raked. And I'm like, look, if you're trying to be the boss, then that needs to be, like Randy Moss. I need that one. Like, that needs to be, I catch it. I have the strongest hands in the world. I'm dunking it on your head. That's it.
Nefarious 247, appreciate the super sticker. And wouldn't that be something? Willie Williams, Cameron Mark, have you heard about TVD to Bama?
I was wondering if we were going to get this question, but so it has been rumored as of today that Miami will be losing a top player to the portal, is what has kind of been said on social and in certain circles and things like that. And with all due respect to everybody on the roster, the 3 players that I believe would be of this ilk of a big time player leaving would be Tyler Van Dyke, Leonard Taylor, Cameron Kinchins. Everybody else is good. There's other really good players, Nigel Kelly, Mesidor, there's other really good players, but in time of like Miami losing a big time player, it would have to be 9-24. Yeah, because he's back to 5. Sorry, so 5, 9, or 56. I don't think the defensive players are going. So then that puts all of the spotlight then on Tyler Van Dyke. And at first when I heard this, I thought people were bringing up old shit, because I said it in the spring. Like, it was like, I don't know how out there it was or anything. I know that I mentioned it, but like Tyler strongly considered going to Notre Dame. I know that Notre Dame was out there as an option for him, whether they offered or whether they consider like what semantics. But Tyler Van Dyke plus Notre Dame was a thing at a time. So when I heard this earlier today, I was like, oh, I thought that people were bringing up old stuff from when he debated the Notre Dame thing. And then I heard from a couple different people. They're like, no, this is, yeah. So like Mike Ryan, Mike Ryan from the Levitard show, who's a Miami alum. He was one who said, yeah, Miami might be losing a top player. And like I said, then, I mean, that really, with my process of elimination, puts a spotlight on Tyler Van Dyke. And yeah, so, you're looking at if it would be anybody of the kind of stature that the shrouded statements have been, he's the only one who it fits for, right? Where could he go? Anywhere. I mean, could Alabama be a landing spot? Yeah, sure could. Jalen Milroe. I mean, if you talk about a running quarterback with struggles throwing the ball, I don't even know who their other is. It's not still Paul Tyson, is it?
And Paul Tyson left. It's Ty. Oh my word! What's his name?
Ty Shorey or something?
Shoot, I've lost it.
Yeah, but anyway, it's some other random dude who's
he's not a random dude. Ty Simpson. But Ty Simpson.
Basically, he's another random dude. It's not like Bryce Young is waiting in the wings. It's not like they got Malachi Nelson from Los Alamitos and who's a 5-star All-American coming in. It's not like Jalen Hurts coming from, a record-setting high school career. That's what I mean by a random guy. Like,
what my response to your comment about the random guy, especially to a guy that's a recruiting expert, is Ty Simpson was the 3rd-rated quarterback and number 26 national prospect in the 22 class.
Yeah, but I mean, he hasn't shown anything.
No, that doesn't mean he's going to fulfill that, but...
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, he was highly rated, but also,
That's really highly rated.
Who else was in that? Who else were quarterbacks in that class?
22.
2022 quarterback.
So yeah, to your point, while you're looking that up, Jalen Milroe had to step in for Bryce Young against Arkansas, completed that game, and then he had to play the Texas A&M game, and he was clearly not of Alabama standard throwing the ball downfield. And now what can happen in regards to his development in 1 year or in 9 months, we shall see, or may not need to see if Paul Feinbaum, if anything that he says means anything, because he's reporting, and maybe this is where this really caught fire, because he does obviously have a national audience, but he said the other day that Nick Saban is not pleased with his quarterback options.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Cade Klubnik was the number 1 that year. Connor Wigman, who's at A&M, is pretty good. Drew Allar was number 4. But like, it wasn't a great quarterback here, to be perfectly honest. Like, as I'm looking around, like Nick Evers.
Well, to be fair, we don't know yet. Like, Drew Allar is going to start at Penn State this year, so see.
You only had 4 or 5 stars, and then like even going down a little bit. I mean, like it wasn't a. It was a fine year, but it wasn't like an elite Trevor Lawrence.
Gotcha.
Justin Fields and year.
Yeah, or these guys would have played.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, but to the point, yeah, like if you're at that point now where it's like, even if you think that Simpson, a 5-star number 3 quarterback in his class a couple years ago, even if you think that he can be that guy eventually, what have you done for me lately? You know what I mean? Like, what can you do for me right now? And with the talent on that team, a player of Tyler Van Dyke's ability can do a lot, I believe, more than the current versions of Simpson or Milroe. And I think that that's where that comes from. Now, I mean, in general, even if I were to take Alabama off the table specifically, I'd still say, yeah, I mean, it pretty much comes down to Tyler being the player of note, the big time player who would leave via the portal if there would be one. And that could be for a number of reasons. It could be, like he just wants to go somewhere where he can win in a year before going to the NFL. Maybe, like he would prefer working with a different coach, or, after having gone through the entire spring, or, we can look at any of the underlying kind of conversation points. But yeah, like if the caliber of player being hinted at by these rumors were to go, I think it would have to be Tyler. I don't think that there's any, because realistically, Leonard Taylor and Cam Kinchins aren't leaving. That would be like truly mind blowing if either one of them did. But I really think that it would have to be Tyler, which would really put Miami in a precarious position in terms of quarterback, because of where Jacurri Brown and Emory Williams are in their development and performance cycles at present. But I hope, for the Hurricanes' sake, that Tyler does not leave. If he does, then I would bet good money that we're going into the portal to get one or two. Right. I think that we should get one already, because you want to have 4 scholarship guys on hand at all times. But yeah, if he goes, then you're looking at getting guys to compete to start this year right now. And that changes the trajectory of everything. Remember that we still, this year, it's not the toughest schedule in the world, but we do have Clemson as one of the additional schools on top of Boston College, Louisville, and Florida State. So then you have Florida State, who, beat our brains out last year, and then Clemson on the schedule, as well as, Texas A&M, who, even though they weren't great, they are very, very talented and things like that. So that does change the kind of tenor of everything. But yeah, if it were to be anybody, I do believe that it would be Tyler. I hope that it's not. It could be Alabama. It could be somewhere else. But he is the kind of player and the kind of caliber of player who can. He's a top end of the sport starter. He's a Power 5, top of the Power 5 starter. Like that's his level of ability. Whether, do you think that he would be the best quarterback that they've had? No, I don't think so. Obviously with guys who've won Heisman trophies, and even in recent memory, and things like that. But I think that he would be a big upgrade on top of what they currently have on the roster at Alabama. And it would be a big challenge for Miami to replace him, especially with what's on. I don't believe that there is a ready-made replacement of the 2 scholarship options on the roster. So yeah, that has been what's been going around. People have been very secretive about it, but I've been around this for a long time and seen a lot. And yeah, 2 + 2 usually equals 4. And again, I don't think that there's a reasonable player at the top of the roster, the big time player that's being hinted about as potentially leaving, that would be anybody other than Tyler Van Dyke. So yeah, do with that what you will. Whether you want to trust what I've said, based upon, what I've seen and heard, whether you want to trust Mike Ryan implicitly, whether you want to trust Paul Feinbaum, even though he hasn't said Tyler Van Dyke. But again, this is the 2 + 2 nature, right? So Mike Ryan said this, some other people said these, message boards are saying this, text messages and conversations I've had, have been hinting at things. Now you put that with like you have to, you take the multiple data points and you put them together, and that's how you solve an equation. You know what I mean? So I hope that the decision in the end from Tyler is to remain in Coral Gables. However, there's starting to be some smoke, and where there's smoke of this ilk and volume, there usually ends up being fire. So we'll see.
3 of what I would consider the top 4 teams in the country coming into the season are making a change at quarterback and have unproven quarterbacks starting, and Alabama's one of those 3, along with Georgia and Ohio State. And I don't know if they're happy with their quarterback situations, but Alabama's the one that's out there to be not necessarily happy with their 2 quarterback options. Other than that, I don't see where Tyler Van Dyke would necessarily, not that he couldn't compete and win a job with a team that's already got an established starter, just out of nowhere. LSU, Jaden Daniels. There's no reason to go there, but not that he couldn't win the job against Jaden Daniels, because there are places like that he would have to compete for the starting. Like if he went to South Carolina, Spencer Rattler, he'd have to compete for the job. I can't think of anywhere else, but it's funny that 3 of the arguably the 3 premier programs right now have quarterback situations that are unsettled, not because they don't
Mhm.
have talent in the room, but because they've got a completely unproven guy.
Right.
And most likely they're going to be fine. But if this is true out of Alabama camp where Nick Saban has seen enough, and he knows how to evaluate quarterbacks, obviously. He had a situation 2 years ago with Bryce Young where he had never thrown a meaningful pass, but that didn't stop him from saying before they even started spring camp, Bryce
Yeah.
Young's the starting quarterback.
Yeah. This is the
Done.
guy. Boom. Yeah. And I mean, like to your point, when I was going down the quarterback list, like, yeah, Penn State, from what they've seen from Drew Alar, yeah, they're ready to give him the keys. And like he played well for a freshman. He played well, like in general. So yeah, that line of secession there seems succession, not secession, not going to secede or anything, but the line of coronation to the new king, as it were, at quarterback one for them is very clear. Whereas Alabama, it is less so. But yeah, I mean, again, if you're talking about like the top of the sport, Tyler's not starting at Texas. I mean, he could compete for. I mean, like he's not going in clearly and starting. You know what I mean? Oklahoma, no. USC, Oregon, Washington, no.
Ohio State, he could.
I think he would still have to compete for that, but I think that he would have at least a size 13 shoe in the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it'd be
Sure.
it'd be a competition, but like he's the prohibitive, favorite. So yeah, pretty close to it if you were to go, to O State. But I mean, like
Georgia.
Alabama or O State. I mean, one of those two seem more like, yeah, like he could go there and play, tomorrow, or be the starting quarterback tomorrow. So yeah, and I mean, this is a thing where again, maybe he's just reconsidering his earlier decision not to go because, I mean, like I said, I heard from somebody that I trust that he was the number one option for Notre Dame before Hartman decided to go there. They were really desiring Tyler Van Dyke. And so he decided to stay in Miami, went through spring, and maybe now he's reconsidering that decision. So this is just part 2 of that process. Maybe this is new, maybe, whatever. But yeah, I am pretty confident in saying that, yeah, this comes down to Tyler Van Dyke. So now we're on Tyler watch until something happens, whether, and silence speaks volumes. So like we don't hear anything and everything, then like, hey, okay, he makes a decision to stay. But like, if not, then I'm sure that will be quite loud in terms of, just everything, Miami losing their starting quarterback, him going to wherever, whether it be Alabama or somewhere else, and things like that with, obviously not game ready depth behind him, and things, like that. So it will be very interesting. But that's my read on it as of 8:05 p.m. on March the 19th, or April, excuse me.
Folks, we most definitely can benefit your personal brand or platform, or if you've got a small business, by partnering here at the Voice of College Football. So hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail, MarkRogersTV at Gmail, if you would like to find out more about sponsorships. And Cam, what's going on there at State of the U?
Man, just had a whole bunch of, welcome to the U's, obviously, for all these different players. So go and check those out. Justin Tattavio has written a few spring things. He's working on a new spring piece as I go into the editorial dashboard, if it wants to work. He's working on a comparative piece, I believe. Jake Marcus working on draft previews, because we do have guys who are going to the NFL draft: Will Mallory, Lou Hedley, and Tyreek Stevenson. So, there's that. And there's a basketball, kind of offseason recap from Rob Weaver. Mike McCoy, had a piece from the Final Four with Joe Zagacki, the announcer for the Miami Hurricanes, the radio play-by-play guy, and things like that. So we have all that and, plenty more coming up for you. So like you see it on the screen, stateoftheu.com is website, open 24/7, 365, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. My personal Twitter is at Underwood Sports, where I am all the time. Please, in any and all of those places, come and fan with us. And yeah, we'll see what commitments happen, and trust and believe, should Tyler make a decision to seek shelter elsewhere, we will have probably multiple points of conversation about that on stateoftheu.com.
Folks, we deliver this for you each and every Wednesday night. Cam's here. It takes him an hour plus all the insight and the information and everything that he's got to do. I'm amazed every week. I truly am. I'm not just saying this. I am truly amazed about 14 different times each hour that we get together every Wednesday and think, how does he remember that and that and that and that? Yeah. And then to be able to then articulate it is a whole other level. So we hope you appreciate that. And keep this in mind, everyone. We deliver this for you. Bring a friend or two or 50 in with you. Tell people that we are here every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Cam, you have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, Mark, you guys, you do the same. Everybody watching, do the same, and we'll catch you soon.